Hi, everyone. Over the last few weeks, we have looked at a map of self care and all the different ways in which we can improve and take care of our own self, whether it's in the physical dimension, in the energetic, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual areas of our life. In this video, let's look at how do we apply this framework. Is it just another gigantic to-do list that's going to make me even more stressed about my self-care? Or is there a way in which I can apply this map of self-care? This is the map of self-care. And as you can see, it starts with the basic foundation of self love and acceptance. And that's where we start with the use of this map. No matter what we do, even if you're doing all the 40 plus topics that we talked about, if there is no self love or acceptance, then we are defeating the purpose, the very purpose of self care. So, ensuring that self love and acceptance is the starting point of using this map is very important. And let me share another slide with you. So, those are the different topics that we have: nine different ways of physical self care, eight different topics for energetic self care, seven topics of emotional self care, seven topics for intellectual self care, and 12 topics for spiritual self care. So, when we look at these, it may feel very overwhelming. Are we going to practice all of those? Is that a huge to do list that I have to follow? And the answer is no. If I am able to just practice self love and acceptance and be aware of myself, that is an excellent starting point. So let's start with that: self love, acceptance. Once I am starting with that, the next step is to take stock of where I am. What am I practicing? Which of these am I practicing already? And chances are likely that I'm already practicing many of these topics, many of these ways or methods of taking care of myself. So, taking note of what I'm already practicing is a good standpoint. So, let's say that I am taking stock and I find I am practicing thus one or two or three different ways in which intellectual self care is coming in. So, by taking stock, I am beginning to see that maybe I'm practicing a lot of physical self care, or I'm practicing a lot of emotional self care, or maybe I'm very comfortable with energy medicine or energy tools, and I'm practicing a lot of energetic self care. So, allowing the time to take stock allows me to understand where I am in this map of self care. What is my current status? And let's take a recap. So, for example, of physical needs, we talked about taking enough water, taking care of our microbiome, ensuring movement is there because movement is medicine, exposing ourselves to sunlight, taking care of our detox or elimination pathways, listening to the wisdom of the body, rhythms of the body, taking care of the releasing of the toxins, trauma, and the repetitive thoughts that are in our mind, and of course, nutrition and self care for the body. So, all of these topics were covered, but maybe I'm practicing drinking enough water and sufficient movement. I'm happy with that. So, that would be taking stock of my physical needs. And then when I move on, I find, okay, maybe I'm practicing some more. But then when I look at the other areas, other dimensions, I'm not practicing enough of those. So my current self care practice includes lots of ways in which I'm taking care of my physical body. That's a good starting point. From there, then, I can look at the remaining four areas and see which area is something that is closer to my heart, something that I feel is going to be comfortable. And maybe I identify intellectual self care as that or emotional self care as that. So, looking at the topics there, I can pick one from those and put it in there and say, okay, for the next few weeks, I have four ways in which I'm taking care of my physical body. Let's add one item from intellectual self care, one item from emotional self care. And that's going to be my self care journey for the next few weeks. So, that is one way in which I can do that. And once I'm comfortable with that, then I can bring in one topic from spiritual self care, maybe one energy tool or energy topic as well. So, this way, I am ensuring that all aspects of myself are getting at least a little bit of self care that was going to help me in an all rounded manner. So, once I am comfortable practicing this, then I can extend it to other areas. So, what if I took stock and I found that, look, I'm not practicing as much of physical self care, but I am taking care of my emotional self. I am going through all these different ways, or maybe other ways as well, of ensuring that I am emotionally taken care of. So, if that is the case, then that is my starting point, and then I can add in one of another area as well. So I could continue in this way to start using this map again with intellectual, pick up one area or two areas of these. And the whole idea of looking at it in this way is to say my starting point can be anything. My starting point can be things that I'm already practicing. And then I look at what is comfortable for me with the remaining four, pick those that are comfortable. And from there, then I start looking at adding other dimensions. And again, if you look at the number of topics that we have here, we have almost 45 topics in the map of self care. It's really impossible for any one person to be practicing 45 different ways of self care at one time. Then we'll be doing nothing else, right? The idea here is I have 45 different ways in which to take care of myself. Can I pick a few at a time? And then maybe I'm getting a bit bored. I would like to keep some crucial ones and then try and see if I can explore other ways of taking care of myself. And that seems much more doable and much more compassionate. Again, I would like to emphasize over and over that always all self care is based on self compassion, self love, self acceptance. So, if I'm going to use this framework to say, I have not done this, you better start doing this, then that's defeating the whole purpose of the map. Use the map as a guide to say, can I explore self care in all the different dimensions? So, that is one way of using this map. The other way of using this map is to pick ideas that flow all through the five dimensions, or to pick one particular aspect that has an influence on all the five dimensions. And the one that I would like to pick first is water. If you look at water, you will realize water is needed by the physical body because it allows the physical body to function better. Every single cell needs water. We are 65 to 70% water. So we need water for proper functioning. So that is taking care of ourselves at the physical level. But then water allows our subtle energy to move. So when we are dehydrated, our energy channels are not going to function well. Is chi or the prana is not going to flow well. So Ensuring I take water allows my chi or prana to move well as well. That is energetic self care. And if I am dehydrated, then I am going to be emotionally overloaded because any release of emotions needs, or any emotional processing needs water for it to flow through. So, once again, water is needed by our emotional self as well. And try thinking some deep thoughts, or try doing your assignments or doing your tests when you are dehydrated, and you will realize that the brain's need for water is immense, is much more than any other part of the body. So once again, drinking water allows us to nourish our intellectual self as well. And spiritually, why is water important? Water is important because it is the source of transmission of information. And Masaru Emoto has done enormous amounts of research in this to show us that just a thought or just a word can change the structure of water. And so when we are using water in a healing way, we are actually transmitting information to our body through the medium of water. And that's why every religious tradition, every cultural tradition, any part of the world has some form of ritual that involves water. So, water is also got spiritual connotations as well. So, just drinking water and paying attention to the way we drink water, to the way we use water, is addressing all five dimensions. Similarly, if you look at sunlight, again, sunlight is immensely useful for the physical body. But then sunlight also allows our energies to flow well. Sunlight also allows us to feel happy. The brain releases feel good hormones when we are in touch with the sun. So it is helping us emotionally as well. At the same time, the brain functions much better with sunlight exposure, and people start feeling like their mind is not, the brains are not working well if you're constantly in the dark. Spiritually as well, every tradition looks up to the sun for inspiration. So, once again, using the sun, we are ensuring self care on multiple levels. So, finding ways in which we are addressing all the different dimensions at the same time is a smart use of this map of self care. One more topic I want to talk about, and this has been addressed in almost all the different dimensions, is this concept of release. Release comes before nutrition. So, in the physical self care, we looked at the fact that taking care of our elimination pathways, taking care of our detox pathways is very important, because unless the waste is released by the body, it is not able to accept nutrition or to make use of nutrition in a healthy manner. So that's at the physical level. But at the energetic level too, unless the stagnant chi is taken out of the body, fresh chi is not going to come in, fresh prana is not going to come in. So that is the same concept. Any energy medicine modality is going to look at where is the stagnation and how can we release it. So that is happening at the energetic level as well. And if you look at the emotional level, if we are facing difficult negative emotions and we have not processed it, we have not made sense of it and released it, it is being suppressed and held deep inside us, then eventually it's going to become so difficult for us to feel happy or to do a function in this world, because all of these unprocessed emotions are there just under the surface. And when we say what is trauma, trauma is unprocessed stuff that has not been released, that has not been, in many cases, we are not even aware of that, their existence. So, once again, releasing the waste becomes an important part of emotional self care. Intellectually, too, as long as I am having old beliefs, old ideas, old ways of doing stuff, I may not be able to shift and adjust to a better way of organizing myself. So, once again, releasing the old that is no longer serving me is an important part of intellectual self care. And when we looked at meditation, meditation was all about allowing ourselves to release what is no longer needed by us. So I'm able to declutter my inner world and have access to the inner wisdom, the inner bliss, all of that. Again, the same concept, release the waste at multiple levels, and that would probably be most contributing to our self care. So, these are some of the ways in which you can use this map of self care. Start always with self compassion. Take stock of what is already there. Do not use this as a to do list. Use this to see if we are addressing all the 5 dimensions of self care. And use this to play around, provide variety in the way we take care of ourselves. And the last way in which we can use this map is to be smart, pick things that work at multiple levels, and use that to address all the 5 levels in one go. I hope this discussion on using the map of self care is useful. Look forward to your feedback, your ideas, and thoughts. Thank you for joining me. This is Nirmala Shekhar signing off. Bye bye. Namaste. Do subscribe and hit the bell button for more weekly content on self care. And if you want even more actionable content on self care, do join me in the Facebook group for weekly lives, discussions, and more tips.